Alright, so in this lesson we're going to talk about the peripherals for playing FPS like Valorant, and the most important peripherals will be your mouse pad, and your monitor, and then also your keyboard a little bit. But I think the first three are the most important, and especially the mouse and mousepad I find to be the most important when it comes to tactical FPS like Valorant. These images here correspond to the ones that I have personally. This is my keyboard, the HyperX Alloy Origins Core. This is my mousepad, my mouse, and my monitor, which is an AOC 144Hz. To talk about the monitor first, my monitor is nothing special, but it's good enough. I've had it for about 8 years now. The good part about it is that it is 144Hz, and nowadays that's a bit outdated. Most pro players are using 240 Hz on their monitors. However, I can guarantee you that 144 is definitely enough if you want to make it to the highest level. It's enough. 240 might give you a slightly competitive advantage when playing this game, but it's only noticeable at a very high level, and you can definitely still do it playing 144. What you can absolutely not have is under 144. I think if you're playing on 120 or 60 or 75, then the disadvantage that you get is much more noticeable. But from 144 point on and above, I think it's almost the same thing, and it's definitely the space where you want to be in when it comes to a monitor. Regarding the mousepad now, this is by far the best mousepad I've had, the Artisan High-End Ninja FX. This is very known amongst FPS players as one of the best mousepads ever. It's from Japan. It's slightly more expensive than normal mousepads, but it's really worth it when you're taking the game seriously, because not only in terms of durability, but the quality of the mousepad is completely different than the other ones. The texture is very good, the durability is super good, and the durability is the worst part about mousepads usually. Some mousepads might feel really good on the first month that you play them, but then after a month, or after 2 months, they lose quality dramatically, and this doesn't happen with Artisan high-end effects, at least not with me. As long as you treat it well, you're gonna try to clean it if you need to, or in my case, I don't have to clean it, but I protect it every time I'm not playing. So like I put a towel over it, but that's basically all I do, and I make sure there's no dust going over it every day. So whenever I'm playing it, I'm using it normally. Whenever I'm not playing, I cover it with a towel, and I've had it for over a year now, and it's still super good quality, and I'm really happy with this purchase. It's compared to the other mousepads, it's like way above in terms of quality and durability. So I definitely recommend this one when it comes to FPS. Then my mouse is G Pro Superlight. A lot of you might know this mouse as well. It's very famous for being very good for FPS games. A lot of pro players are using it. I think it's the most used mouse amongst pro players. Being wireless is very helpful, depending on what sense you're playing on, but especially for lower sense, you can feel the difference when you have a wire or not. And I think the weight of the mouse is also very important, especially for long sessions or long games. And again, for the lower sense players, you start feeling the weight of the mouse over and over. So the fact that it's a lightweight mouse is very good for you, and it doesn't lose speed or quality, and it just feels very good in your hand. At least to me, I really recommend this one. But this is all when it comes to mouse, it's a bit more personal taste, but this one is I can definitely recommend because there's so many people that have tried it and everybody liked it that I'm confident that if you try this one, you will like it as well. Then the keyboard, honestly, I've tried a bit of different keyboards and I don't think it matters much. As long as you're happy with the keyboard that you have, like it feels good. I don't think there's many recommendations I can make. Usually mechanical keyboards are better, but that's about it. Like any mechanical keyboard that you feel good in terms of how the keys feel in your hand and stuff, that's about all you need to have. Everything else is a bit more irrelevant. The most important ones, as I said, is the mouse pad, which will feel a big difference from having a good mouse pad and a bad one, and the mouse, and then the monitor, you just want to make sure you have 144 Hz at least. There are obviously other peripherals that I'm not talking about in here, like the headset. I think the headset isn't too much important, but for reference, I'm using HyperX Cloud 2. But again, you just want to make sure you can hear from left and right. That's basically it. You can even play with your phone headphones, and you can still play at a high level. You know, it's not as detrimental as these things over here. Now, one thing that I think is very important but isn't something that you need to buy necessarily is your chair height and table height. I think this is very, very important when it comes to playing FPS like this. Um, but you don't necessarily have to waste or use like 340, 400 euros on a gaming chair and a gaming table, whatever. You don't need any of that, like a gaming desk. You just need to make sure that the height of your table and your chair is good for you when you play FPS. And what I mean by that is usually you want to have your arm that you're using to uh, aim with your mouse, you want to have it at more or less a 90-degree angle within your desk. And if you manage to accomplish that while being comfortable, usually without lifting your feet from the ground, then you're probably at a good height when it comes to chair and table. But if you're not exactly accomplishing that form, then that's something you want to check into, because what's likely going to happen is after 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours of playing, you're going to start to feel uncomfortable, and you can't even focus on the game anymore because you just feel uncomfortable playing. You don't know what to do, and you want to play, but you can't play or focus because you're just uncomfortable all the time. And this comes from chair height and desk height, so this is very, very important. Try to find a table and or a desk and a chair that you can adjust the height from. It doesn't need to be those tables that you can constantly adjust. There's some desks that you can just adjust once and it's done, and those are not very expensive, so I really recommend those. And these things are definitely going to make a big difference when it comes to your performance. But yeah, so that was basically it. If you have any questions, leave it down there and I'll make sure to answer all of them.